morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world's time zones. I'm Martel, and this is the program that covers every last one of those time zones. It is my honor and privilege to be with you throughout the weekend, to guide you, as it were, through the weekend. A lot of paranormal activity. I suppose, I'll not hold that off for a moment. Looking at the world as always depressing. The webcam shot tonight is, well, kind of interesting. There came an opportunity to show Aaron Los Angeles. And that opportunity came in the form of an invitation to participate in a major motion picture. And so, the picture you see is on the sound stage of a movie called I Know Who Killed Me. Lindsay Logan. So, Lindsay is a very, very interesting indeed. Anyway, it's coming out in July, and it's just a big part. You know, I get to do sort of a little thing that puts together, and I take to the right thoughts. I can't really talk about it, but that's where the photograph came from. And that's a picture of her on a sound stage in Hollywood, a place she's never been. And so it was kind of exciting. And it was about 10 hours of driving. Now, in a moment, I'm going to have some news from last week's intense experiment. First, we'll look at the never to be disappointed in how depressing it is road names. I got it right. A suicide truck owner sent a deadly storm of metal, stone, and jagged clusters for worshippers, leaving a Sunni mosque Saturday, killing at least 39, possible sign of escalating internal city battles between insurgents and those who oppose them. Motive for the attacks was not immediately clear, probably never will be. Vice President's plane got a little trouble. Vice President Dick Cheney's plane experienced minor mechanical problems. It was making while making a refueling stop in Singapore, as planned on Sunday. Australian Prime Minister said he received a report Cheney's plane was being diverted before it took off from Sydney, but did not have any further details. Meeting on the grounds of the former Confederate capital, the Virginia General Assembly voted unanimously Saturday to express profound regret for the state's role in slavery. It is admitted last a fast-moving snowstorm just closed sections of Maine on the plains Saturday. It dumped more than a foot of snow. That's a lot of snow in the upper Midwest. Caused 7 traffic deaths in Wisconsin. Still not going to power more than 145,000 customers, primarily in Iowa, where freezing rain flooded trees, power, and utility lines at a precipice of 5 minutes. Not good at all. Wind device weighs 41. Indonesian engineers temporarily halted the truck to fissure that has been gushing mud for 9 months after a steel cable placing cement balls, that's right, cement balls, into the crater, broke on Saturday. A hot, noxious mud was displaced 15,000 people, dozens of factories, thousands of homes. The mud has blocked major roads into the second largest city. My goodness. So they're dumping large concrete walls into it. This is for a listener, I thought it was appropriate. It's Einstein here on radio. Einstein said, you see, wire telegraph is it's like a very, very long cat. You follow his tail in New York, and his head is meowing in Los Angeles. Do you understand this? And radio operates exactly the same way. You send the signals here, and they receive them there. The only difference is there is no cat. It's Einstein. Let me give you one more time. You see, wire telegraph is a kind of a very, very long cat. You for Phil in New York, and his head is down in Los Angeles. Do you understand this? And radio, of course, is exactly the same way. You have signals here, and where you see them there. The only difference is, there's no cap. That is how Einstein explained radio. All right, we're going to break here, and then we're going to review last week's intense experiment. We'll be right back. All right, we're going to review in a moment the results of last week's intent experiment to get them to show themselves. But let me tell you now, we're about to go into open lines. Now, that means anything you want to talk about is fair game. But those who are more interesting get more airtime. Those who are not interesting and are obviously impaired in some manner, we're going very quickly. And while they are unscreened open lines, let me emphasize I do have, meaning I can make the last X number of seconds disappear if need be. So to get to us, if you've got something of intense interest, West of the Rockies, 800-618-8255. East of the Rockies, 800-825-5033. First-time callers, Virgins, area code 818-501-4721. Wildcard line, area code 818-501-4109. First-time callers, 818-501-4721. 4721. Wildcard line, 818-501-4109. And outside the country, 800-893-0903. Now, responsibility is yours. That means on radio. Saturday experiment was an undeniable success. There were sightings around the world. People listening around it. I'm receiving ads from Florida, Canada, also very active. Hotspot had several sightings. Colorado, Ohio, Sacramento, Berkeley, California, Wisconsin, Illinois, Houston, Austin, Texas, Hawaii, New York, Iowa. As well as many witnesses of the band this way where they were yet incredible records. Everything from brilliant lights responding to people with flashlights and lasers responding to wishes and so forth and such. This one, I have thousands. I could just go on. Hi, my name is Vicky, and I live in Port Huron, the base of the film area in southeast Michigan. I wanted to relate to you my experience with last night's experiment. I was thoroughly enjoying the show. I got excited when you decided to go ahead with it, so I followed the instruction. I told the window to go out there. Shut up. I saw a bright red light in the sky off the southeast where I was looking. I also saw the western lights and three lights in the shape of 3D triangles that were spinning and changing colors, and like the old screensavers would shape and spin and change color. It was so cool. It faded after a few minutes, so the radio, as a very good line, was making it on. So when we did it the second time, I asked that they come closer. Well, that's my window. That's right. There it was, and it ran from the far southeast and directly outside my window. Granted, it was obviously huge and far away, but yet it answered my request. I got chills at that point. It really faded. So it did the third time. The white light was there, along the white screen, white lights of light. Therefore, the light is right. Thank you so very much for allowing us this opportunity. I believe a shift in human consciousness and awareness is truly happening with intention at the core. The success of both the great and man of the secret is testament to that. Exciting. Sincerely, thank you for last night. And the scholars from 4 southern Somerset County towns, who see in the newspaper, they said, I reported seeing strange lights in the sky Wednesday night, and is that night the Vermont National Guard might provide an explanation some sightings for this fire. At 7:35 through 8:12 p.m., the Somerset County Communications Center took calls from Johnson County, And 2 other cities are geared up for the house. Robinson Hall came from 42 miles river, not far from town. From the dispatcher, she saw reddish orange UFOs with trees. Said she saw 3 diagonal lights and 2 and 1 before it all burned up like a comet. Spokesperson from the Vermont Air National Guard confirmed the unit was conducting training missions through the area Wednesday night. F-16 flying overhead, the source said, would cause considerable noise. Now, I didn't hear noise, they saw lights, and F-16s moved quickly, not slowly. Former Navy intelligence crypto type Brad Luther is a very down-to-earth kind of guy. At 40, father, husband, works at the oil plant as an operator. Walks is straight and narrow, doesn't even Bigfoot aliens or walk this much. So, when he saw strange bright lights in the sky above him Tuesday night, he assumed that it was a helicopter, maybe a small plane. Only when he opened the door to his truck, expecting to hear the roar of chopper blades above him, did he begin to wonder what in the world the craft could be. It was really bizarre. You've never seen anything like it. Let's get on the basic stuff of the sky. He said, what strange things in the sky are high up, he said. This was way, way down there. It was so low to the ground, so brightly lit. First he thought, well, there must be something going on at the industry town hall. I thought, wow, that's pretty neat. As he got closer, though, he realized the lights were coming from something around 300 feet above. As when he opened the door, sounded like a quiet jet engine. Luther was mystified and a bit nervous at this point. The woman driving an SUV behind him said as well. Whatever her name, wishes Mary had, she said that she wanted to look like an aircraft right around on the road. And in the Navy, it's a very funky, special, top secret aircraft out there. That's the only thing I can think it could be. And it stopped right above his head for a few seconds. Just stopped. That's when it really freaked me out, he said. He thought it was a spaceship, he said, except he doesn't believe in spaceships. So that's sort of typical, a little sample, if you will, of the literally now thousands of reports we got. Now, there are 2 ways to approach what happened. Experiment. But you know, it's been years since I did an experiment of any sort. But it seemed tailor-made. I just kept saying intent, not intent. It's all about intent. Of course, the consciousness experiments and studies that we've done are all intent-oriented. No question about that. So it was too good to pass up. Even though I probably should have. I guess you could say either it worked, or it was one hell of a coincidence, or simply sending people outside is going to get you reports of things in the sky. I don't know really which it was, but I know that you would have to chalk it up. If you saw the reports in the sky, you would have to chalk it up as some sort of ding, 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 as all the other experiments have been. So, you know, I understand. The audience would say, well, you know, come on. You send a million of people outside looking at the sign, you're going to get this. These are pretty good, though. Really, really good. First time caller line. Hello.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm quite well.
I just have a question about your reverse speech and why you no longer allow that on the air. What was your...
I don't disallow it. We just haven't had reverse speech on in a very, very long time. I had a disagreement with the fellow who used to do the majority of reverse speech.
I remember that.
And that kind of ended it.
Yeah. I didn't like what he did.
And so that kind of ended it. That doesn't end, and I said this at the time, and I'll say it now. I still have an intense interest in the possible validity of reverse speech. Who knows?
Well, that's what I was curious about. If you still thought it was somewhat of a valid, potential information source, you plan to do that again?
If we come upon somebody who's doing research here in the U.S., Maybe. Well, sure. And, I'll investigate anything. The fact that I had a disagreement with him doesn't stop me from being interested in the technology.
Very good. Okay. We appreciate you.
All right, take care, bud. Once again, the open room screen, talk radio, anything you want to talk about there, doing most of the work is your turn. You're on there.
Cool, Mark. How you doing?
Sound like you're on a cell phone at the end of the earth. Sort of.
It's Bob. I'm calling from over here in Texas. Last Saturday, my sister had a UFO sighting on Forum over Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes, sir. I'm going to hold it there because we've got a very good connection. I appreciate the fact she had a sighting, a UFO sighting. One of thousands. I mean, just thousands. And again, I guess I'm not declaring it a unilateral, absolute, unambiguous success. However, I do have thousands of reports. So from that point of view, yes, but you've got to hold out for the, what would you call it, the placebo effect? I don't know. I just know that every time we have tried an experiment, we've had success. That doesn't mean I'm going to run to do a million of them. It just means our batting average is good. Mr. Baraki, you're on here. Hi. Oh, hello. Yes, I never stay away from our radio, please. It's taking me forever to get through. Okay, well, sure we are. Well, I just that you do, and you see as you're very much giddiest with the EVP show. So I'd like to hear another one of those soon. Maybe like a personal EVP show. Okay, they're pretty famous. I'll be honest, I have one more question. I was wondering if you ever been to interview Alex Jones. Probably not. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I figured you guys had your disagreements. All right. I've never interviewed Alex, so we don't have disagreements per se because we have never spoken. However, I know without question what his position is. But what I am going to do is I'm going to hold a discussion with all of you on 9/11. That I'm going to do. I'm not going to bring any of the so-called experts on either side of the question. I'm going to, I guess, kind of do a giant poll and discussion with the audience. We're going to find out how many people. I know that given that opportunity, all of the 9/11 conspiracy will gather their forces and front lines. But there are millions of people out there, so what we'll have is an open discussion on these things a couple weeks ago. I'm not afraid of it. I just I don't happen to believe it, but I think there are a sufficient number of people out there that do even to warrant discussion about it. In terms of having an advocate for either side on the air, I don't think I'm going to do that. Either on the outside line, you are on the air. Or, this is Walter. This is Walter from up in Eatonville, Washington. Yes. And I've talked to you before about, I asked you about if you would be willing to do the mass consciousness on if God would show up or not. Now, the reason I did it was because I have a similar situation here as James Gilliam about I can ships to appear here, but the way I do it is to eliminate demons and everything else. It's something focus on something to do with God, and so I thought the experiment basically what you did was you were asking God to show up. You think that's what I was doing? Well, you said you didn't want the meditation was to focus away from all demons and everything else. Well, if you were to, so when you were after. Actually, I don't recall saying that. What I recall saying was I asked everybody to focus on a joyous moment in their life. And then on top of that, you try and focus on or to project intent to have them, whoever they are, show up. That's how I recall it. Durham was also trying to meet
the fear of demons is what
absolutely correct. Yeah, he was. He is aware, as I am aware, that people faced with something new, particularly about magnitude, seeing something that doesn't belong in our airspace above your head is a scary thing. And if you are of a particular religious persuasion, it could well be that you're going to think you're facing a demon. So sure, it's possible, and that's why I think we have to sort of focus on a joyous moment in order to be a happy affair, and the showing not be, like the end of a bad movie. I'm Art Bell. Somebody named Kelly from Idaho sent me an email, said, Art, my grandma asked me to email this to you, thought it was really important, thought you ought to know about it. It comes from the, let's see, what is it? Idaho Gazette, I think. I'm not sure. No, Idaho Observer, for credit. Headline, GAO report admits chaff in chemtrails. Now listen very carefully. The Idaho Observer reports that in May this year, a family in Iowa contacted the office of Senator Tom Perkin to report the constant crisscrossing of chemtrails in the swamp of the neighborhood. They received back from the senator's office a GAO report of military chaff and the material safety data sheet for aluminum-coated fiberglass fibers being spread 7 days a week for several hours each day in the skies above their home. The chaff is spread by pilots mainly heard of mass plane who sent false radar images. It was reported that the military also has lead-based chaff being used right now. Chaff was used by the military in Europe in World War II, according to the GAO. And more studies are needed. Among the substances found to be in the samples were several that simply ought not be there. 6 bacteria, including anthrax and pneumonia. 9 chemicals, including acetylene and fluoride. 26 heavy metals, including arsenic, gold, lead, mercury, silver, uranium, and RMC, whatever that is. 7 viruses, 2 cancers, 2 vaccines, and 2 sedatives. Over the last several months, the Observer has received a significant increase in chemtrail-related calls and letters. Most report a dramatic increase in chemtrail spraying activity in their areas. Some are reporting the development of chronic flu-like symptoms from fatigue and body ache, but have never before been explained. We'll be right back. Coming up in about 30 minutes, Dick Criswell on UFO paranormal activity. So that'll be tonight. And then tomorrow night, Jim Sparks, who clearly was the best UFO abductee that I think has ever been interviewed by anybody on the air, anywhere. And that's for that which we didn't have time to do previously. So it's going to be a very, very interesting weekend. Wildcard Line, you're on there. Hello.
Hey, Art, Richard in New York. I can't believe I got through.
And yet, here you are.
And here I am. I've been trying to call you a number of times, especially when you get talking about 9/11. And here's something you might want to put out. At times I think I might be in an alternate universe or something. I'll tell you why I say that. I lived for 29 years within a quarter of a mile from ground zero. And I'll never forget that day or the events after it, And one of the things that I remember clearly on the media and everything is when building number 7,
Yes.
that building, when it went down, that was deliberately detonated.
Well,
and the reason
it is your opinion.
Oh, no. This came over in my world and the people that I know.
Your world?
What?
Your world?
Yeah, where I live in the city.
Okay. But I mean, what proof do you have to offer that it was deliberately detonated?
Oh, not as a terrorist act or anything. The structure, the integrity of the structure was in doubt because of the collapse of the 2 trade towers.
Okay.
I don't remember if it was the fire department or the National Guard, but one of them deliberately brought the building down because it was a risky structure after that.
It may be, but I'm not aware of it. Everybody has questioned what happened to Building 7.
They also say that. Why are they saying that?
They're saying that if, in fact, some agency actually did bring down for the reasons that he stated, which would be logical, but I know of no such thing.
I wonder if anybody else ever heard this because it was publicly broadcast on the media. I remember, those days,
Even showed me. I would answer the question of so many conspiracy theorists and put them down on that subject, but I think it would be big news.
but that's really how the rest of the world sees it. Sometimes, like you say from time to time, you hear about somebody dying and you say, no, that person isn't dead. Or you in your own mind, you think someone's dead and someone says, no, he didn't die.
All right, well, okay, so you're saying that you were in effect in an alternate universe, one in which it was announced publicly that that building was locked down for safety reasons, which, by the way, would be fairly logical, but I'm not aware of any such safety, any agency. I don't have to whatever. Contrary, by all means, let me know. Western Rockies, you're on the air. Hi. Well, this is rated down real quick. Yes, oh yes. No pleasure. My name is Darren. Yes, sir. I'm from Laytonville, California. Yes, sir. Tomorrow's my birthday, I'll be 48. And I've had MS now for 15 years. And I would like to share some things with the audience. Okay. When I was like 3 years old, I asked 3 questions. Where my word I come from and what's my purpose? And everybody, you have 48 years of age, you probably still have them. No, I found the answer because I spent my whole life studying to answer those questions. The answers are that there's nothing that happens at random. Things happen because certain forms of cause and action. And if you ask about all the world religions, what does it take to go to God, all of Buddha or heaven or that higher level of consciousness? It's the same formula, 3 things. Knowledge, wisdom, and faith. Knowledge is truth. Wisdom is to know the truth from deception. And faith is in the start of course meant for life on all levels of its existence. Well, I'm envious of you that you have that faith. I wish I had that kind of concrete faith. Faith is an absolute belief in something that you can prove. And I can't say that I have that. I lean very heavily toward believing that there is a creator, a God. I believe there is a God. Or there is a universal intelligence or something. I really do lean that way. But in terms of being able to say I have absolute faith, no. And so I envy you that it's very comforting, I'm sure. Mr. Rockies, you're on the air. Yeah, Dwayne from Texas. Hello, Dwayne. Yeah, I was going to agree with that call you had before this last one. I did hear something on the news. I think I was watching Diane Sawyer the day that happened. And so you also think you heard something about 7 being brought down for structural weakness purposes, whatever? Correct. And it was, well, it didn't, I did hear it, that's what I'm saying. And I appreciate the report, and anybody else who heard that, and actually he said Diane Sawyer, if anybody else is able to scratch up a copy of the report or anything else, obviously that would be of intense interest to many of us. And I can imagine that would be the case, can't you? That they felt 7 laws perhaps structurally weakened, dramatically so, by what happened with the World Trade Centers, and so they brought it down. But again, I'm really unaware of such a statement by anybody. Well, Caroline, you're on the air. Hi. Hi, I want to tell a story about some alien tourists that... All right, turn your radio off, please. That is number 1. Okay, it's off. Okay, in 98, I was working in my shop at some earthquake portfolio building, and I had this terrible feeling of being watched. And I happened to notice that my cats were staring at something I couldn't see by the door. So I took a chance and I said, I know you guys are here. Talk to me. So in the back of my mind, I hear this voice that says, why you make these things? This is a real B&H customer story. Jack and Robert, professional wildlife photographers and B&H customers. I said, it pleases me and it makes me happy. And while they were rolling on that, I said, tell me how your invisible machines work.
And they said, well, anyway, they said, show me. So I flew out of my body towards one of these gray aliens that were in my garage. And I got smaller and smaller, atomically small. And I passed through the atoms of his biosuit. And I arrived in the area where I saw millions and millions of orbiting atoms around copper, millions and millions of electrons orbiting around copper atoms. And full size, this would have been a plate of metal underneath the suit. And, excuse me, my cat is sitting.
Why do you have a script?
Well, it's going to take 5 minutes, and I want to have the thing.
Actually, I don't have 5 minutes. So, put your script away and just tell me what.
I'll shorten it as much as I can.
Yeah, don't read from the script.
Anyway, they had an entity in this copper plate where all these companies were at. And the thing came up to me, and I said, what do you do? And it says, I look. And I said, show me. And I saw myself standing there with a yellow light sticking in my eye, paralyzed. And another one came up. And I said, what do you do? And it says, I do things where the other one looks. I said, show me. And it went to the panic center of my brain. And it says, if I put energy here, you don't remember that we were here. You are paralyzed. And if I go farther on into your brain, I can explore all your memory. And I thought, espionage. And I said, oh. And then another really big one came along, and I said, what do you do? And it says, I program these other entities. And I said, oh, wow. I said, you program living beings into copper atoms. I said, and I said, yeah. And then I thought about this mental site thing in the Midwest when you shut down the mental site. And I realized that they could program into the copper wires electronic beings that were programmed to sit there and quietly wait, allow us to use these things for tests and for maintenance, but never to use them in anger. And they did the same thing to the Russians.
As much like they did. All of this is very, very well documented. You can believe it or not. In fact, they exist two things. In the United States, they hovercraft over some of our ICBM sites and shut them down. They literally shut down. I interviewed several of the fellows who worked in the silos when this occurred, and three staff shut our ICBMs down. Sure and simple, shut them down. What do I get doing again? In Russia, there was a similar occurrence, only a little scarier. Instead of shutting them down, they set a launch sequence. They began to arm and set a launch sequence simultaneous with the sighting of a saucer craft above Russian ICBM sites. They actually began a countdown. The Russians ended up tearing all of the consoles out, all of the equipment, going through it piece by piece, never figured out what happened, why it happened, or any of the rest of it. But both nations experienced something very serious of that sort. So you can make of that what you will. You can look it up and verify it on your own. Wildcard line, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. How are you tonight, Mr. Arkell?
Very well, thank you.
It is a pleasure, and I've been waiting to make this call for years, but sounds up. A few years ago in 01, I had a summer there, just enough time to search back. We had a fellow on from Texas who claimed to be like, used to be in Vietnam, and was like special forces. They claimed to him, and on a hunting trip, they killed a big person. And he was really freaked out. I remember that night. I listened to the whole program, and I was on the edge of my truck driver's seat going down the road, listening to the story. I wondered, did you ever have any follow-up with this fellow, or had you just tried to
Okay, no, there was a follow-up. Now, that man claimed to have shot and in fact buried people. He had a map, he knew where they were buried. I do did a follow-up program with him. His wife was extremely concerned. He was extremely concerned. We offered to get him counsel, to get him a lawyer, but his wife talked him out of it on the basis that he could have been charged with a crime. And I guess you're that when it gets down to brass tacks, put yourself in that position. Let's say you're out hunting, and you end up killing a couple of things that were sort of semi-human. Harry, Bigfoot, clearly not really human, but semi-human, human in form. Not hair covered, but human in form. You would be extremely concerned, and if you were your wife or your husband or your relative, close relative, certainly would be, that you could potentially be charged with some sort of crime. And that's exactly what occurred. And she talked him out of doing any of the rest of it. Now, I've got an open invitation to him. Anytime he'd like to change his mind, perhaps as he gets older, he will. We would be glad to conduct an expedition to that site, do the digging, because I believe him, and I think many of the rest of you did as well, and see if the remains could be salvaged. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hello.
Oh, hello. Yes, with the experiment talking about watch the skies. And
this is our pal, and you're talking about the experiment we did last week, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what about it?
Yeah, I live in San Diego, and I noticed in the sky there was light. Couldn't tell
what they were.
Yes.
Okay, well, I appreciate the report. There's one of them. What thousands? We had literally thousands of reports. Again, I'm open-minded enough to, on the one side, clearly declare it as a success, but on the other side, hold out the possibility that anytime you send millions of people outside, they're going to see things. Now, are they going to see things that aren't there? No. Are they going to see things that are possibly from elsewhere? Well, perhaps. So in other words, I don't want to make too big a deal out of it, but I think it was a success. West of the Rockies, you're on here. Hello.
Hello, this is Susan.
Hello, Susan.
Hello.
Where are you?
I'm in Washington State.
Okay.
And I've had several experiences that don't seem to happen to other people. Like,
you must be other people who don't listen to this program.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. What kind of experience?
Well, I've seen a shadow person, but it wasn't a dark shadow. It was a white shadow. And my eyes were closed, and I could see him walking up to me. And he put a little box on my lap, and it was light. And it's like I could see it and feel it, but my eyes were still closed. And he put earphones over my ears, and this white light went shooting through. And he just took the earphones off my ears and put it back in the case and went walking off, and I opened my eyes.
And what did you make out of all that?
I didn't make anything out of it. I was kind of
shocked.
Like shows are supposed to be dark, and they weren't. And one out of the body experience. And maybe didn't get too far.
Maybe going back to your shadow person experience for a moment, maybe we can conclude that if you have a shadow person experience and your eyes are open, it appears dark or has a shadow, as described by so many. But if, on the other hand, your eyes are closed and you're experiencing the presence of an extra-dimensional being nearby, they appear as white or light. In other words, the opposite of what you've got, which I suppose, obviously, is a sort of darkness, right? So you would not perceive a shadow. So to be perceived, it would have to be light. That's sort of another take on shadow people. From the highlands in the great American Southwest, I'm Mark Down. Anyway, coming up in a moment, Dick Criswell. Dick Criswell's encounter with the UFO paranormal world was at the age of 6. At 17, he was with Frank Edwards, a news reporter for WTTV in Indianapolis, Indiana, who would focus on UFO paranormal topics and investigations, and that sparked his interest, as I hope we do with this program with many of you, creating what I hope is the next generation of ufologists. With the developing fascination of UFO paranormal research in the Indianapolis area, Mr. Criswell hosted UFO and paranormal meetings at his home. During that time, he met Richard Hoagland, who introduced him to Dr. Michael Wolff. In 1994, Mr. Criswell became a team member on a project with Dr. Wolff called the Alpha Tom. In 1997, he hosted a national radio show on the cable news network called Starfire Program. Criswell is now a retired fellow and is dedicating countless hours of his time to research and investigate UFOs and paranormal. He is currently in talks with fellow enthusiasts and is creating a business plan to begin a national UFO paranormal research facility. In a moment, Dick Criswell. I'm sure you've all been reading in the news or seeing on TV the incredible storm that's going through the Midwest right now. Dick Criswell is apparently right in the middle of it, although I guess he's on the far edge of it right now. It's already passed by, and he's got a telephone that's going to go away if he loses power. Dick, welcome to the program.
Hello, Art. Nice to talk to you. Thank you for having me again.
It's great to have you. When did all your interest in the world of UFOs and the paranormal begin?
Actually, it started when I was age 6, but at 17, I started investigating and researching the topics of UFOs and paranormal.
How old are you now?
I am almost 60.
Okay, so we're about the same age. You've been doing this all your life now.
Yes, I have.
It'd be very, very interesting after a researcher, especially for the first time, and sort of see what your conclusions are after all these years.
Well, they have changed over the years. I mean, there's nothing that I have encountered that's concrete. It's just change. Well, when I think I've got a handle on the whole gamut of the UFO field, it just seems to change on me. It's like I have always thought that this UFO enigma would be explained by the United States government, and hasn't been.
No, certainly not satisfactorily. They've taken shots at it, for example, explaining Roswell, but it seemed more like a comedy.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Remember that?
Right.
Remember that?
Oh, yes. Very good.
Yes, it was not a comedy, actually. I would say hold on more. All right, well, let's start with it. What's Alpha Tom?
AlphaCom was a team that was set up to tell the American people exactly what the government knew. And it basically was to bring forward all the knowledge that they knew about aliens, different craft, and this was all supposed to come forward, and it never did.
AlphaCom was an organization formed to get all the American government to the American people. Now, that would imply, was this your organization?
No, it was not my organization. It was Dr. Michael Wolf's organization.
Dr. Wolf, did he have contacts in the government that were ready to sing?
Yes, several.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
And what kind of partner?
Well, we had Mr. Clinton in office, and what happened was the Monica Lewinsky scandal come up, and they felt that they wouldn't be credible after that.
Yeah, it did kind of take over the headlines for both families. No question about that. So what happened to the witnesses, the government witnesses that were lined up?
They're still out there. As a matter of fact, there are several witnesses that I'm still in contact with.
Can you name them?
No, I cannot.
Because?
Well, they'd be names that you would know, and I had signed an agreement, a secrecy agreement, that I would not reveal certain things.
But I thought the entire basis of Alpha was to reveal that knowledge.
Well, it was. It was supposed to come forward, but under my agreement, I was not allowed to divulge names until this came forward.
And this very day, you're bound by that agreement.
Oh, you're never let out of that agreement.
All right, let's move to something you can talk about then. That would be, you apparently have had some sort of experience yourself with the Grays. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. When was that and what was that?
It was in 1953 when I lived in Wheeling, West Virginia. I lived on a farm, and I was playing one day in my yard. We had about 30 acres on this farm, and out of nowhere, I never seen a crash or anything like that. These two grays appeared, and the grays were about 3 foot tall, 3.5 foot tall, and of course, were typical with the cranium heads and so forth. And the interesting thing, Art, when they would talk to me, they wouldn't move their lips. It was just kind of like if you've ever experienced like a Bose wave system. This was in my head. It was kind of telepathic,
Right.
and it was an experience that I've never had, and I couldn't get over the fact that they couldn't talk like we did. It was just like a thought that came in my head, and it was just tremendous. I mean, it was all.
What did they communicate to you?
They told me things aren't like one day he will be our emissary. They told me certain things like we have a unified God. Different things. They told me that there would be circumstances where I would understand clearly, and different things. I would ask them because I knew that at the age of 6 that they didn't look like we did. I wanted to know where they lived, and they told me that they came from a star system that I wouldn't understand.
Did they have a craft?
I had never seen a craft part at that time.
What's the Grays? How many?
There was 2. There was 2 Grays.
Was there any physical contact?
No, not that I can recall. They would get with.
Oh, that was the very beginning. Okay. Well, I didn't get you interested on it. And were there many of these encounters or just one?
Over the period of, I'd say until I was age 17, it would just come and go. I mean, it was kind of a hit and miss type thing. It wasn't a constant ongoing thing. But the other thing
that was really interesting about these grays. We lived in a two-story farmhouse, and these grays would come through the wall. And what scared me more than anything is they would just appear. They'd come through the wall just like it was nothing. And they told me that if I understood the concept, I could do the same thing. But all I could do was freeze myself.
So you tried a couple of balls.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That did not work.
Did you back up and take a good run at them, or just more gingerly approach them?
No, I gingerly approached them, but still would put bruises on me.
Yeah. Did they comment on your inability to go through them?
Yes, they told me that I didn't understand the concept of going through. I'm trying to think of the word. They didn't use the word mass, but I use it now. But they told me that I didn't understand the concept, and one day I would be able to do that. And I still, to this day, can't do that.
Did you tell anybody else, your parents, others, about these encounters?
Did not tell my parents until I was about 45 years of age, Art, for the simple fact, my parents did not believe this stuff.
A lot of people don't, Dick.
I know.
A lot of people don't. We're very much in doubt. And while we're on the subject, how sure are you that this really occurred in the real world, that you weren't sleeping, that you weren't having some sort of hallucination or any of the above?
Art, I'm 100% sure that this happened to me.
Was there any overriding important message or thing that we should know?
One of the things that they told me that has bothered me clear to this day was the fact that we would be going through some troubling times, and they said that I would understand it fully when I become at the age of 50. Well, that's come and went, so, I don't know what to make of that, other than the fact that I think that it might have been this earth coming changes that I know about.
Coming earth changes? What kind?
Well, cataclysmic things, kind of like things that you wrote in your book.
You mean climate change?
Yes.
As I have with many people, companies have actually shown them pictures of what's coming. Did you get any of that?
I never saw any pictures that they had. Just told things. I mean, they never. There was no. And I have abductees that tell me the same thing.
Dick, what did you do for a living all your life when you were working?
Yes, I was a machine repairman. Just fix machines and so forth, and I've been there all my life.
What kind of machines?
Production machines. I worked for a bearing manufacturer, and we would work on screw machines and various different production things for ball bearings.
Okay, well, it's a very straightforward kind of job, and you were working on all your life, and this seems like, I don't know, seems like an experience that's sort of so far away from what you would expect somebody with your background to have. Any idea why you?
As I look back upon it, Art, I get bits and pieces from my parents now that will discuss certain things that happened to them. They had an experience, but I had to really drag it out of them. And as I've learned in my research that this kind of runs in families.
And what did your parents say? In other words, were they too visited? Did they have a sighting or an abduction experience or what?
Well, my mother basically will not talk about her experience, but she said it was a very frightening experience. But my father uh, told me about an experience that he had in Wheeling. It probably was in the mid-30s. And he said that this craft came above him and a couple other people, and it blacked out the sky. And he said that what was interesting about it, it actually blacked it out so much that it took street lights, and you couldn't even see the street lights. So this thing must have really been low. And I said to him, I said, well, how big was this thing? And he said, oh, it had to be a couple miles long. And he said that he kind of forgot about it, kind of like they took his memory away. And it was one of those things that he didn't talk about until I really pressed him for it.
So both your parents had something happen, and obviously you did. And from the age of 6 through 17, you had, could you even guess at how many visits?
Art, I've tried to think about that, and I can't really give you a concrete answer on that, but it was several times.
Okay. So only several times. In other words, once a year, perhaps every couple of years, that kind of thing.
It could have been like twice a year, 3 times a year, something like that. Then when I came about in my teens, it was more frequent. It was probably like, well, maybe 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay, well, how's your recollection from the teen visits? You would think your recall of those would be much better.
That's really interesting that you asked me that, because it seems like the older I get, the more I remember about this. And, it should be just the opposite. It just seems like I'll remember bits and pieces of little things that really don't mean anything, and I look for those things in abductees that I interview.
Well, Dick, there are many who say that abductees are given a kind of a screen memory. And it may well be that after a period of time that begins to break down, and more and more of what you experience begins to get through. Do you think that's possible?
Yes, I think that's quite possible.
How would you describe their main motive in visiting you?
I don't really know, other than the fact that when they basically told me that I was going to be an emissary, I guess that's what I am now. I'm speaking for them.
All right, if you're speaking for them, Dick, what is the main message? It's just that Earth changes, catastrophic events are on the way?
Well, that they do exist. I mean, I think my life's work basically is explaining to people that they do exist, and this story that some people try to tell that they don't exist is a fairy tale.
Can you describe them in detail, physically?
Yes, they were about 3.5 foot tall. They had the wraparound eyes. They had a big head on them. It appeared to me, Art, that if they had wore anything, it was kind of like a tight knit type suit. I did not see any shoes on these people. It was kind of like all one, like the kids that wore the blanket sleepers, that had the feet in them.
No. Were you under the impression, Nick, that they were machines or biological entities?
You can make more money selling on Walmart than on Amazon. Walmart has created a brand new marketplace.
What was that you
when I first met them, I thought that they were basically human in nature, but as they would come back, it was more kind of like a robot.
All right, hold it right there, Dick. We'll be right back. From coast to coast and well beyond on occasion, this is Coast to Coast AM. Here I am indeed. We've got a very regular kind of guy on the phone here, Dick Criswell. He's been visited since he was the age of 6, and I had a lot of visits between 6 and 17 years of age. And we're sort of rolling over what it seemed to be all about and what they told him and all the usual questions for somebody who's had a visitation or an abduction experience. Back to Dick Criswell in a moment. Once again, Dick Criswell. Dick, your website is canyoustandthetruth.com, right?
That is correct.
I can. What is it?
The truth is that we have been visited for a long, long time. There was a phrase that the X-Files had that said they've been coming here for a long time, and that is the truth.
How long? I mean, do you honestly know the history of visitation to Earth?
Well, let's put it this way. They were coming here in biblical times because there's several references in the Bible. Ezekiel talks about the fire ring and so forth. And I know that they've been coming that long. I have seen documents saying about how long they thought they were coming here.